I am Anita Letitia Kakai, a CPA professional. My occupation is an internal audit manager. I'm here to say I'm grateful to Human Capital International because it has taught me to become a great leader, and it has taught me how to shape my personal values and always see them as the first thing before I put in the external environment. And once they don't fit in within the internal values, my intrinsic values, then I have to make sure I navigate to fit and then don't become the product of the environment. I would recommend this to all leadership teams and the managers, all those who are aspiring to become good entrepreneurs and remain so, or remain big and great people in the world, that yes, there is everything in the world, but before you think of leading others, think about leading yourself first. As you lead yourself first, it gives you an inspiration to even impact others. I'm so grateful to Dr. Day-Tumi.
Today we want to start off by the law of growth. The law of growth for building resilience in V.U.C.A times. And please, let's not joke around this thing here. Whether you like it or not, the times we live in today are not what we met 20 years ago. Now, if you make a mistake to assume that these are just transient times and that we shall go back to the normal times, you are just making a big mistake. The Chinese have a proverb. They said if you keep doing the same thing the same way and expect a different result, what it means is that you have lost your mind. It's called insanity. Because you cannot keep doing the same thing the same way and expect to have a different result. Because the input determines the output. Now, unfortunately, the today time that we live in, even if we are putting in the same input, remember the external environment has changed. And therefore, even the output you are getting is likely not to be the same. So it's important for us to appreciate that if there's going to be anything constant, everything else can remain constant, but the one who is making the input has to come to a point where there is growth in that particular individual. That is why we are talking about the law of growth here. And I think I keep bringing this thing up. Those of you have been coming for the last 2 months. What I'm saying is this. This is the summary of whatever we are talking about here. The state of a pupa is different from the state of a butterfly. If you get to a level where you have now grown your wings in terms of status, in terms of salary, in terms of degree, in terms of even changing environment, you move from Nalia to go and live in Nakasero, you move from Chisasi to go and live in Kololo. But the attitude of Chisasi is what you are taking to Kololo. You cannot survive like everybody else and still maintain your values. Are we together here? So if there should be any changes, the changes is not physical. It is the internal changes that matter. I was speaking in Canada and they said, let's go for lunch. And we went to a place to eat. And when we went to, they had local Ghanaian chop bar. Well, let me explain what is Ghanaian chop bar. Ghanaian chop bar is where they carry the mortar. You know how we pound our fufu? Somebody had gone to Ghana, bought the mortar, bought the pistol, put it in the plane, take it to Toronto, and repeating the way we prepare our local dishes in that environment in Ghana all the way to Toronto. So physically, he's not in Ghana, but mindset is in Ghana, even though the physical body is in Toronto. That's the point we are making here. You cannot say you have grown whereby structural wise, of course, if you look at a 6-month-old child and a 10-year-old child, the difference is that physically, structural wise, anatomically, the 12-year-old child has expanded anatomically. But the 6-month-old child anatomically is small. But you'll be shocked that the brain within the 12-year-old child anatomically expanded person is still as the 6-month-old child. There's no growth. There's chronological growth, but mental, mindset, paradigm growth, zero. That is what we are talking about. So the question we want to ask here today is that what is the relationship between growth and maturity? if I want to know the difference between growth and maturity, I can talk about growth is chronological, but maturity is based on the experience, the wisdom of the individual. But I'm talking about what is the relationship between growth and maturity. You cannot mature without growing. All right? If I start here and I don't progress from day 1 to day 2 and I'm still stagnant, I'm not growing. And therefore, it means I exclude myself from the externalities that can make me mature. You get the point? So I need to be able to take advantage of the frequency of the dates, of the time, by way of growing, and expose myself to the thing that will make me mature. Are we together? So there's a relationship. And that is why that relationship, one is not taken advantage of. You can grow through the process in terms of chronological without being mature. So that self-awareness, that as long as the days are coming every single day, I need to avail myself and be conscious, alert of how can I mature on a single day. Every experience in life is education. Every experience in life is a university. That gives you a degree based on how you take advantage of that education. You know, we all go to university, you can get a third class, you can get a second class, you can get a what they call, take it and go and look for something to eat. You get a point now? In other words, it's neither a pass or a failure. But at least tell people you too, you have gone to university. You get a point now? Now, so if we are talking about growth, please understand that growth, basically, there's a gap between where you are and where you want to be. So at point A, and my intended destination is point C. So there's always a gap between where I am right now and where I intend to be. Now that gap can only be closed by the steps you are going to be taking from today. Please understand me very carefully. We're talking about the law of growth. The gap between the start, and everybody in this room, and if you are watching this program, I believe you have what we call a dream. Your present state and the dream that you want to achieve by the year 2023 December, that gap can only be closed based on the steps you are going to be taking from today. And that steps is what is going to be determining your growth and at the same time your maturity level. I've said it many times that today in our context there are women who marry men that look like men because anatomically, structurally, they appear as men. They are very well built, they look nice, they drive nice cars, they wear nice clothes, they wear nice perfume and everything. So anatomically they look very upright, they look very smart. Unfortunately, the steps they took from where they were or before they got to where they are, that you see them as men, the decisions they made kept them at a point where even though they have moved to step B, intellectually, internally, they are still at the starting point. There's no growth, there's no maturity. Are we together? So the question that we are asking is, ladies and gentlemen, how do I grow? How do I mature? How do I get to a point where there is a stark difference between where I started from and where I am right now, that is going to propel me to where I want to be? And that is going to be determined by the quality, everybody say quality, the quality of the steps that we are going to be taking. And notice the word quality is very, very key here. The quality of the steps that we are going to be determined based on the decisions. And so when we talk about growth, we are talking about the fact that it is your decisions, not your conditions, that determine the quality of your life. it is the decisions you make, the quality of the decisions. The quality of the decisions, not the quantity, but the quality. So let everybody else run in terms of taking steps quantitatively. Sometimes you need to exclude yourself and do what we call reflective thinking. So when somebody is taking 10 decisions, you're only taking one. But the quality of your decision would catapult you ahead of them. Are we together? Are we together? The law of growth. Let me bring it home. We live in a context in Africa where when a lady is 25 and she's not married, all kinds of things are said about her. Hey, you are getting old. Hey, are you cursed? Hey, why are you driving away all these men? The question is it comfort you are looking for? Is it companionship you are looking for? Or is it something that you want to do that will give you joy? Or you want to please societal expectations? So the lady rushes and go and pick up a snake as a husband. In the night, the snake is biting her. So we are talking about the fact that it is not the conditions you are in, but the quality of the decision you are making here. Very, very important. And there are many people who have regretted, or they live in regret. In fact, let me take you to the Christendom. There are people in church today who wish and pray that their spouses die because they live in misery. And since they don't want to divorce, for people outside to look at them as having broken the law of divorce, they live there, but they are praying that the partner, at least if she dies or he dies, he can marry again. Are we together? So these are key things we need to understand. So let's talk about some of the laws that make us grow. So if you don't create systems, what do we mean by systems? Ladies and gentlemen, what do we mean by systems? When we talk about systems, we are talking about managing the decisions you make on a single day. How do I create an environment such that every decision I'm making, remember, your decisions lead to your actions. Your actions lead to your habit. Your habit leads to your character. And your character invariably leads to your destiny. Your habits create your growth.